Hello, this will be, I promise you, a short video. Unfortunately, it is not going to be using the thing that I wanted to work with this video, which was the original of this piece of artwork. Now, I have spent the last couple of years meticulously cataloguing everything in this house belonging to both my parents and myself. I have made sure that I know exactly where everything is. It is labelled clearly, it is in a logical place. And then I have come to get a couple of things in this last week and they have completely vanished. And it can't be because of anybody else, because there is nobody else in here, so I just can't explain it. When I have come to lay my hands on the thing that I need for the video, they are not there anymore. And that would normally maybe be down to my just being a bit lackadaisical and a bit messy in that kind of artistic way, but I have put oh no, not that again. Sorry, it's my reminder. I should remind myself to turn off my reminder on my phone before I make a video. Yes, the whole artistic kind of slapdash, everything's all over the place, I don't know where to lay my hands on it thing has kind of completely gone in the last couple of years because I've had to go through everything and make sure that it was clearly labelled and I can lay my hands on it quickly. So all I have been able to find, getting back to the actual subject of this video, is this print, which thankfully is a reasonable print, but it used to be a very clear and beautifully rendered, if I may say so myself, piece of work, because I put a lot into it, because this was a piece of magical artwork. Something I have not touched on before with you is the sort of principle of art as invocation, art as magic. And you could say that every piece of art is magic because you are the creator with a blank world that you fill from your creative essence in your own unique way. Every art is a piece of creation. It is a piece of magical creation. However, you can work with that a little bit further and turn it into something else where you are including elements in the piece that create the spell, if you like. I've never been really, since way back when, at the very beginning of my kind of explorations into sort of wild spirituality, that I would lay out what would be thought of as a formal kind of spell working. I've always been either doing something out in the land, or I have been doing this, which is what I do. So it makes sense to use I don't want to use the word use. I want to work with. I always work with. I never use anything. I always think of working with my pencils or with everything. I don't like the idea of using anything, people, beings, items, anything. I work with them as a partnership to create something. And whether it's a friendship or whether it's a piece of art. So this was actually a conscious effort to create a spell, if you will, whereas I included all the elements together, and as I was working on it, rather than going into my kind of reverie that I normally go into, where I'm completely lost to time and just totally away with the fairies, if you like. I'm just gone into the work, into the colour, into the shape, into the thing that I'm trying to create, that I'm trying to depict. Whereas this was carefully chosen and was for the purpose of creating a home. I feel quite safe to talk about this now because it was 2006, and so I can also say that this worked. It was actually something that worked for me. So I did this before I went. It was a spell for a home. I did it beforehand, knowing that it would be hanging in that home when I got there. And I'll just explain the elements of this. But before I do that, it doesn't have to be that you're creating a piece of art for a particular magical purpose. You can just imbue your art with a sense of, or a desire for, how you would like the world to be. So what you're creating, you put your energy into to create a world you wish was. And so you are kind of you are the creator, making your own world, if you like, or adding that influence into the world through your art. And it doesn't matter how good you are at it, it is the energy behind it, is the intention. It's always the intention behind it. And it didn't really matter that this wasn't the most brilliant piece of work that I'd ever done. It was the intention behind it and the love that I put into it, and the whole vision that I had of it featuring in my new home. And I can speak about it. I wouldn't have spoken about this if it hadn't been so far in the past, because it's so personal. But this was somebody I was working with in the other worlds, in my inner world, in my inner work. I was working with this person at that particular time who was a very motherly figure, and was helping me find somewhere that I could call my own. Because after years and years and years, literally most of my life after I left this house, my home, my parental home, I just rented and rented and rented, and I had to keep moving. I mean, it was like in the 30s amount of time. I mean, 30 plus times that I had to move. I never had any security. I always felt on edge. I could never make my home my own, because it was never my own, really. And I was at the whims of whoever else was either in a shared house, whoever else was in the house, or the landlord, or just the whole situation. I'd end up moving and moving and moving and moving. Lost a lot of things along the way, and it was just getting too much. My health was not in a good state at all, and I needed somewhere to nest. And I felt that was quite a reasonable request because I was doing an awful lot at this time. I was doing an awful lot of kind of inner work and work for the land, and doing as much as I could for the creatures, and trying to be as much use for all our relations as I could be. And I just felt like a little bit of an exchange would be if I had somewhere that I could call my own with a garden, and then I could do even more for them. So it was a kind of a two-way thing. I would get somewhere secure, and the green beings and the unseen beings would have somewhere that they could come in safety too, and I could grow things for them and all the rest of it. Anyway, so this is what this piece of art was for. And you're not really going to get any of it was really intense because it had so much put into it. So it focuses on her. She's looking directly at me. I was looking directly at her. We were really kind of connecting in this picture, because this is what she looked like in my inner vision. Whether she actually looked like that at all, as I've always said, when otherworldly, unseen beings do not necessarily look as we depict them in our vision, or they're not physical. They can shift. So this is how she chose to present herself to me at that particular time. She is holding a basket, which in front of it she has an apple and a key. Now, there was a very strong thing that she was bringing to this, not me, that there would be apple trees, and the key that she would give me would have something to do with apple trees, and that I was to plant apple trees when I got there. And it would be somewhere with a kind of, this is really, even in this print, this fish has come out so beautifully. It almost looks iridescent. The salmon of knowledge, I think it is coming out, but it wasn't that. It was more about this will be a watery place, which will be akin to your energy, because I am very watery. I am not at all an astrology buff, but I am the textbook Piscean, in case you hadn't noticed. And yes, it was very important that I was somewhere more watery, with flowing water nearby, or a kind of element of water anyway. So that was important. She had a sort of justice with her, obviously the apple blossoms. The round tower kept featuring a lot in my work with her. not because I was going to live in one, marvellous as that would be. It was because it is a symbol of security. It was kind of the unbreachable place where you would go in and nobody could, it could be defended. It was yours. It was safe. It was a place of it's almost magical. It's the sort of place you see in Ireland, or you used to. I haven't been to Ireland for quite a long time, but they were quite ubiquitous in Ireland, and I was fascinated by them, and they started to crop up in these workings with this lady, and became very symbolic of that, having a home that was, it's not a castle, but it is somewhere where, you know, once you're in there you can secure it, and it's very difficult for somebody to get you out of it, really. The door is slightly open in this image because I can get in, but obviously once I'm in there I can shut people out. There was at the top, very unlike me, because this is not my kind of thing, but this featured in the sort of inner workings that we were doing. There would always be this kind of flying rainbow horse, which I just took to be some sort of, there would be some sort of magical element about this move and this place. And unfortunately, because this is just a print, and you can just see the edge, the blue border of where the mount was on it, top bits got chopped off because it was too big for the A4 printer. Obviously a better printer than I've got now, this one. So yes, that was there, but that wasn't so important, I don't think. I think it was just kind of to show that it was like another otherworldly influence that would make this happen. And there is the apple tree at the side with the leaves coming down, turning. I don't know whether that was denoting the season when it would be happening, because the leaves are going brown here, but I don't know, because then there's the seeds, the planted seeds, and then we got the blossoms. I don't know, I think it's just a cycle. I think maybe it was denoting a cycle within which it would happen. I don't know, can't remember the exact specifications. I just know that this was exactly how I saw it, how she showed it to me, and how I should create it, and it's exactly how it came out, and it came to be. So that was my first proper home in I don't know how long, a long time, where I could actually feel secure and nobody could take it away from me, and it worked. And it worked because I well, obviously I was working with the unseen, so I wasn't just doing it for selfish reasons. I did have an altruistic intent. It wasn't just for me, it would serve another purpose. And also it just proves the power of art and of your connection through that to the creator, to all creation, to the all that is, to infinite awareness, to infinite consciousness, to the whole thing that we are part of. If you channel that into even if it's a tiny little thing that you don't think is like a work of art, but you just do it because it you know, it's not necessarily going to be something you put on your wall, but it is something that you can work on without self-criticism, without kind of censorship of this isn't good enough. It's the working, it's the magical working of it that matters. Previous to this, I had created, now I'm not good at this, I created a kind of plasticine little house scenario in which I placed cats and a little model of me and a little model of my partner and so forth, and that, you know, was really not an aesthetically pleasing thing at all. Even though I put a lot of myself into it, you know, I still did it, even though I'm not adept at that kind of thing in the slightest. I still did it because it was my magical part of my magical working, and maybe part of the reason why this did work. So I just wanted to share that with you because I had never done that. It's always assumed that I'm kind of witchy, pagan, spell casting person, but I'm not. I used to be, but that kind of changed and evolved and became, you know, the thing that I do is I create, and I use that, I work with that as a way of channeling, connecting, focusing, envisioning, bringing something into the world for good purposes, and hopefully that will be for the good of the all. That was always my phrase, for the good of the all. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. So there you go. Please have a think about that. If you don't rate yourself as an artist of any kind, it does not matter. It's just the fact that you can, without the aid of setting up a formal ritual space or any of those things, you can just sit down and you can lose yourself and you can channel that and connect with something deeper and bring into being in the world what is needed. So I think that was it. That says it so nice and succinctly. I've actually finished before 20 minutes, so that's a bonus. And I will leave you to your day. Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry that this hasn't been the most vibrant piece of artwork, but I think the meaning behind it is abundantly clear, and I can tell you I'm not just kind of waffling from theory. I only talk from experience, and in my experience, if you do this with your whole heart and your whole soul, it does not matter what it looks like, it will still have an effect, have an energetic effect, and it will make change, it will transform things. Lots of love for all our relations. Stay free and for the good of the all. Bye.